before I start, and at any time while I'm talking, does anybody have a question? Any question about Zen? So please interrupt me anytime. Yes?
Would you all like for me to say something?
Sure. Once we, in the afternoon, and later when we're sitting, I'm going to ask you not to again, but we'll all sit before then, so we can do that. Okay. So if you want to shift a little bit so you can see me, that's fine. Shift the cushion or anything. If you don't want to see me, that's fine too. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do, I'm going to ask you to just sit quietly and not do anything. So find a position, just kind of rock around a little bit. Find a position that you can kind of sit in somewhat comfortably. And in our Zen practice, we keep our eyes open, but if you just look down toward the floor and not focus hard on anything, but just kind of looking as if it might be a little bit interesting. And if you do, nobody said they did any meditation practice, but if you do, I'd encourage you not to do it. And just sit and look at the floor and be quiet for a minute here. I know you've been traveling, so maybe you'll fall asleep. Honor your practice. So you have a nice little sit, comfortable. Since you've been studying Hinduism, you probably heard that it's a big deal. And in many schools of meditation, it's a great big thing. You're going to become one with God, you're going to attain all these kind of states, manifest all kinds of control, do miracles. But the Zen masters like to call it sitting, or just sitting, in Japanese, shikantaza, just kind of bare bones sitting. So it's something that you already know how to do. It's something that, but because you were born in a human body, you have the capacity to sit quietly and do nothing. And maybe you forget that sometimes. So before you listen to anything I say, and after you've forgotten anything I say, just remember that you can always sit down and be quiet. Whatever's happening in your life. So now that I've said that, I'm going to talk about the precise way to sit. I'm going to sit on the Roshi's chair, which I really shouldn't do, but I think it's the only way to see me, so hope I don't really help. The posture that you've probably seen with the yogis in Hinduism, with the Buddhas and statues and artwork, is the lotus posture. Please don't do this unless you already do it. But I'm going to show it to you for a purpose. Okay. In the lotus posture, you put your right foot on your left thigh, and you put your left foot on your right thigh. So you can see kind of locked in. And in yoga, sometimes they call this the lotus lock. You can stand up if you want. That posture, what it does, if you notice, my knees are below my hips, my shoulders are above my hips, my nose is above my navel, and my ears are above my shoulders. So I'm really straight up and down. I'm locked in nicely. And if I turn to the side, you can see I'm not on the top of the cushion, I'm on the front third of the cushion. And my hips get tilted forward a little bit. That gives us a little sway in the back, very small sway. And the belly comes out. So the purpose of this is so you can breathe freely. They call it, in Buddhism, they usually call it the Burmese posture. If you've ever seen any Southeast Indian art, there are lots of tapestries and paintings of dancers, especially from Ceylon and Burma. They're usually in this posture. In yoga, they call it the easy pose. But you can see that the idea is the same. And thus you were trying to get into a lotus at the beginning, and you tighten here. And most men, especially, are very tight in here. The reason to kind of work around, find maybe use two cushions, find a way that the knees come down, is because you can sit like this okay for a while, and then these muscles start to tighten, and then your back starts to sag. And then you spend your whole meditation time trying to hold yourself up. The kind of standard Japanese position is called seizo. You turn the cushion on the side. If you have a soft cushion, this won't work, but I think I got a hard cushion for most of it. Turn on the side, and you just kneel. So it looks like a completely different posture, but if you notice, my knees are below my hips. My pelvis tilted slightly forward. Shoulders above the hips. Ears above the shoulders, nose above the navel. So even though it looks different, it's the same posture. And you can also sit in a chair. This gentleman on our altar here is Manju Shri, who is the Bodhisattva of wisdom. And he's sitting in a chair. So it's good enough for him. If you sit in a chair, I'm talking as if you're all going to go home and practice. But if you do, you sit forward so you get the same feel. And slouch back in the chair. So I think I should be down now, and if anybody can't see me, you can always just move your cushion around. In some schools of Zen Buddhism, that's all we tell you. The reason for that is because this is a practice that's for you to have your own awakening. Since you haven't studied Buddhism yet, I don't know if you know that the word Buddha means awake. And he named himself, after he had his awakening, he was walking down a path to tell his friends what he had discovered, and someone on the path stopped him and said, "Sir, you look so radiant, you look so beautiful, so serene. Who are you? Are you an angel? Are you a god? Or what are you? Who are you?" And he answered, "I'm the Buddha.